So it's very different from having an intellectual exercise with yourself when you practice self-inquiry. It's more than an intellectual exercise. It's going to awareness, or it's being aware. So it's an experiential exercise.
In fact, in every situation, it's not only intellectual. I don't mean that I do intellectually, but there is identification. Yes, I go to experience. I am present. And that moment I am present and I am anxious. I have fear. So it's not a thought. I am present. I am aware. It's not intellectually. I am. Yes, I am. I am aware. But I am aware of anxiety, of fear. And there is identification. It doesn't happen always in every moment, but in particular moments.
But you see, when you're aware of it, you're not identified with it. So whenever you're noticing or being aware of your current experience, there is a distance, so to speak, between you and the experience. Yes, you stand as the observer.
I understand this but the identification doesn't give up. Yes, if I am aware, so I am not that. Yes, I understand this. In fact, when in a normal situation, I feel that is true. I can't bring this insight, this intuition in the moment, in that moment. I don't know if I can explain.
I think what creates a slight confusion is the word identification. Probably you experience that anxiety very, very strongly, and that leads you to call it identification. Probably here lies the confusion. What do you think?
You say that I feel strong feeling, so I feel identified with it. It's not correct.
Yes, because you can't be aware of what is happening at that moment and be identified. When you notice it, you're not identified with it anymore. So when you're identified with the feeling of fear, for example, then you let that feeling guide your actions. For example, that there are many situations where we can just do things recklessly without realizing, just because we are afraid. So that means listening totally to the feeling and not realizing that that's what's happening. So in that moment we are identified with our feeling. So there's no awareness of what's happening. Whereas in your case, you're aware of what's happening. Sorry?
Can you repeat? Julia, can you repeat this?
Yes. So when you're identified with a feeling, there's no awareness of that feeling, in the sense that you don't realize what's happening, and that feeling decides your actions. So it's like we are blind when we are identified with something. We don't see what we are doing. That's why it's called identification. But in your case, from what you're saying, you are aware of what's happening, but you don't know what to do with it. And I believe that you call it identification because it's felt very strongly by you. Almost that you can't get rid of it. So you feel that feeling is you. So in that moment, all there is anxiety. Is that your experience?
Yes.
So then the situation changes then, because I would say that rather than identification, there is resistance. You feel so overwhelmed by the feeling of anxiety that it derives into fear, and it's very unpleasant, and you're trying to get rid of it. That's why you do self-inquiry. You try many things to get rid of it, and that just reinforces the same feeling. It's like I say to you, don't think about a pink elephant. And what do we all do? Think about a pink elephant because we just put the negation, but the object is still there. So I don't want to experience anxiety, which means I pay attention to anxiety and I try to get rid of it. That just holds it there, and it empowers it because you give it your attention. So you're very busy with the anxiety. So what you can do in that moment is fully realize what is happening and just drop the resistance. Just open fully to the anxiety. What can it do to you? What can anxiety do to the openness that you are? Anxiety can hurt or diminish something that has objective qualities, like a person, like a mental image. Of course it's very painful because you're experiencing it in the body. But welcome it fully. Feel it. Say, bring it on. Let me see what you can, and go into it with your attention. Experience it 100%. And see what that happens. Don't resist it. It would only make it stronger. And you're fighting a ghost. Yes, so there's no identification from what you say. It's very strong because you resist it. You give it attention and you're busy with it. Busy trying to get rid of it. Instead of explore it, see where do you feel it, how does it feel. Just make friends with it. I know it sounds very counterintuitive, but if you fear it and you resist it, it would only perpetuate the same thing. And if you want to do self-inquiry, which I would recommend not to do it as a technique to get rid of anxiety, notice that you can't be diminished by anxiety. It's like saying, metaphorically of course, that a fist can really punch the air. So whenever we believe that we can be totally get diminished by anxiety, it's the same as punching the air with believing that we can punch the air with our fist. We can't even touch it. There's nothing happening. Anxiety can't diminish who we truly are. Of course, that doesn't mean that it's not pleasant, that we can experience it all differently in many terrible ways. But anxiety has at its root the belief that I can be diminished, and not just anxiety, but all difficult feelings. And we are trying to resist them because there is this need of protecting ourselves. And that need has at its root the belief that I am a thing, that I am the self-image. There is this I that says, I don't want to experience anxiety. Even though it's our experience at that moment, what we really don't like is that thought that says, I don't want to experience it. That's what is troubling and creates suffering, and not unless the anxiety itself, which is more a bodily sensation. So feel it fully. Make friends with it.